Okay, strategies to conquer vocal demands. And we're going to look at 10 strategies to conquer vocal demands.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
You don't have to be a gigging singer to get full benefit out of what we're going to look at. Some of these things we're going to discuss are going to be very familiar to you. Some of them are common sense. Each one of these is strategies that you really want to be putting into play. And the first one is prioritize your vocal hygiene. It comes down to some personal disciplines. So we're talking about staying well hydrated. I know I'm a broken record. You've got to drink your water, people. We want good systemic hydration. We want to avoid excessive caffeine. I think that's a good way of putting it, isn't it? Because we no longer say caffeine, coffee's out of the question, but you don't want to have excessive caffeine. Reduce that impact of reflux. Reduce your level of alcohol consumption if you can or should. Well, you probably should. And that's also going to drop your levels of acidity and also the hard work your liver has to do to process that. These things are going to reduce dehydration, putting the hydration in and then having your body just be depleted by some of the behaviors. And then things like smoking, some of these personal disciplines, it's not a matter of reducing smoking, it's a matter of eliminating smoking. Of course, vocal warm-ups and cool-downs, again, we say this all the time, but it's the discipline, isn't it? It's the doing. We know to do these things, but it's actually the discipline of doing them. We've got to make sure that we are doing these things to prevent vocal wear and tear. So important. Vocal warm-ups are key to reducing vocal wear and tear. Okay, the next one, proper vocal technique. So we're talking about good breath management. We're talking about developing your articulation, because articulation can have an impact on the way your voice is creating flow phonation, and it can, if you don't have good articulation, you can almost start to articulate with the vocal folds. You're starting to create articulation points with glottal strokes and stops. So we don't want to be doing that outside of it being an aesthetic choice. And then, developing resonance. If you have got not great resonance, then you are going to struggle with things like projection and developing enough volume. But these are all coming back to the things that help with your vocal demands. Find yourself a great teacher. It's one thing to be doing all this stuff online, and I do my best to provide you with some really positive things to be working on. Of course, you can do great lessons with a private teacher, or you can do my online course at Voice Essentials. If you go to www.voiceessentials.com.au, you can sign up for my online course. It's good. There are so many people that have benefited, and I get regular emails saying thank you for how effective that process that I've laid out for you step by step and guide you along in the Voice Essentials program. So go and check that out if you haven't already. Number 4, rest and recovery. Often we don't provide the voice with enough downtime. I know you're going to see stuff online which talks about, practicing every day. Don't do that. Please don't do that. I know, especially when you're first starting out, you're keen, you're enthusiastic, and I do not in any way, shape or form want to throw a wet blanket on that. I don't. But I do want you to be singing into the future in a healthy and sustainable way. And to do that, we have to build your vocal stamina over time. If you go about just wanting to sing 7 days a week, that's going to almost certainly lead to wear and tear. Yes, there may well be the exception to the rule, but I don't know about you. I'm not the exception to the rule. I'm a part of the rule, and chances are so are you. At the absolute minimum, you should have 1 day off, but I'm always given to recommending 2 days off a week. Build in times of rest. There are, I dare say, a lot of vocal issues that could have been avoided had the voice had opportunity or been given the opportunity to have some downtime. Listen to your body. It's often telling you I need a break. And your voice, it's often telling you that as well. So take those opportunities to have a break. Healthy lifestyle, because we now know that actually your voice is going to behave and be operated in a optimal way when your body, because you are the instrument, when your body is healthy. And that's got to come back to a balanced diet, exercise, regular exercise. And you might be thinking, oh, I don't like to go to the gym and I don't like to play sport. Go for a walk. Seriously, my wife and I, Jody, we walk. We like to walk 3 times a week, but sometimes we only get in 1. But walking, it is such a healthy thing to do. It's good for your mind. It's good for your body. It's just good for your general health. And these are all positive things that lead to a voice that is more durable, that has better stamina. Sleep. Your body needs rest, not just your voice, but also your entire body. And so getting good sleep, good regular, healthy sleep. So that means consistent regular bedtime and a consistent regular wake time. Let's go to number 6. Learn to manage your stress. As I say that, I'm thinking of all the times that I don't manage my stress well. When you carry tension in your body, your voice cannot perform to its optimum. So things like yoga and meditation, deep breathing techniques, these are all positive ways to reduce your stress. But also make sure that you find yourself in supportive environments. Because when you're in a non-supportive environment, that is an environment perhaps where maybe the band you're in is not that into you, or the band is a toxic space, that's going to lead towards stress. I'd encourage you to contemplate what can be done to bring about change. And sometimes you can just bring about more indirect changes, but it's about being in that supportive environment. Monitor your vocal health. I've said it here many times. Many singers just jump on the stage, open their mouth and hope for the best. There's not a sense of, reflectively analyzing how is their voice behaving today. Don't put your head in a bucket of sand if you feel there is some issue that is persisting in your voice. Have it assessed and, if necessary, diagnosed by an ear, nose and throat doctor, preferably a laryngologist, who can identify any, whether it be organic or functional issues of the voice. This is a big one. Use amplification equipment when needed and use it correctly. It's so important that you learn how to work with and get the full benefit out of a quality PA. So I'm not talking about going to a toy store and buying one of those, toy mics. That is not going to end well. Okay, there's more that could be said about that, but we're going to move on. Vocal exercises and training. We've kind of covered this. It's about the regularity of your vocal practice. It's consistent, regular practice. And in fact, the research shows us that you don't want to go more than 4 days without activation of the muscles and loading of the muscles, appropriate loading, to maintain activation and an overall vocal proficiency. So just really keep an eye out for that regularity. And finally, and this is one that I think is something I've been learning more and more about as I've been doing PT, for example, is that ability, and it's not just a part of a cool down, it's actually or a warm up, it's actually in and of itself this sense of massage and releasing muscles through stretches and those sorts of things, and doing that as its standalone activity. So you can use things like, like what is this called, a rubber ball, and so you can use it just lightly along your sternocleidomastoid. You can take your the heels of your palm and drag it down your, like that. Really important to just release any stress and strain through the temporomandibular. Always learning to deactivate the shoulders, and because we do, as the day goes on, don't we? We tend to sort of build up tension. It's so important to be able to learn to release that. And you can do that through vocal massage and self-myofascial release techniques. So there you go, 10 strategies to conquer vocal demands.